Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again to cut through the noise, the fire hose of tech news, and really distill it down for you. Today, we're tackling something huge, something that feels like it shifted from maybe someday to, well, happening right now. Can ChatGPT actually become the world's first truly global super app? Okay, let's unpack that a bit. We all remember late 2022, right? When it launched. Back then, it was, basically a text box, a revolutionary chatbot, definitely, but mostly for things like drafting emails, maybe getting some coding help, writing essays. But wow, the speed since then, it's kind of breathtaking. Here we are, September 2025, and it's way beyond just text now. It's morphed into this multimodal behemoth, and it's clearly aiming for something much, much bigger, something that could fundamentally change how we all use the internet.
The speed is absolutely central here. I mean, the core question for us today, for this deep dive, is whether this rapid change positions ChatGPT to do something that's really only worked regionally before, mostly in Asia. We're talking about that global super app concept, one platform doing pretty much everything: commerce, creativity, talking to friends, even complex work stuff, like WeChat in China. And this is crucial. As our sources really emphasize, ChatGPT's whole approach is fundamentally different, radically different. See, apps like WeChat, they're built on structures we recognize, right? Menus, distinct little mini programs inside, tabs you click on. It's almost like an operating system layered over messaging. ChatGPT, it sort of throws the menu out the window. Its core, its absolute foundation is natural language understanding, NLU. The AI itself is the glue. It's the organizing principle holding everything together. It's a conversational way of doing things, not a bunch of tabs.
And the momentum is just, wow. It's unlike anything we've seen in tech, really. The data we've looked at shows it's blown past 500 million users, 521 million globally, and the goal, 1 billion users by the end of this year, 2025. That kind of growth curve. It's just unprecedented. So our mission today is to really dig into the 8 major pathways OpenAI seems to be pushing along right now to make this happen, to turn this viral sensation into the world's first global AI-first super app. We need to look at the tech changes, how commerce fits in, the big organizational hurdles, and the massive risks too.
Right. And to even start talking about super app potential, we have to get grounded in where it is today, September 2025, because it's not just text anymore, not by a long shot. When we say multimodal, we mean it can handle, understand, and generate different kinds of information: text, voice, images, data, even video now. It's the seamless blend that's the bedrock. Everything else is being built on top of this capability.
Exactly. That convergence is so key. We know about DALL-E, right? Text-to-image generation, that's been around a bit. We know about voice, thanks to integrating the Whisper model for speech recognition. You can talk to it, and it browses the web. But the really big new pieces involve, like, higher bandwidth stuff. The sources are really highlighting video creation now, specifically through the integrated Sora app, which means what? One command could potentially spit out text, analyze some data, generate an image, and create a short video clip. All of that complexity, all converging under one simple chat interface. Kind of mind-boggling.
And having that really solid multimodal base, that leads us straight into the first big pathway toward becoming a super app. Pathway 1, platformization through integrations and plugins. I mean, look at the successful Asian super apps. A huge part of their power comes from being the central place you go for other services. ChatGPT is doing the exact same thing, basically mirroring WeChat's mini programs, but in its own way, through its plugin marketplace and the custom GPT store.
Right, and that shift really changes who owns the customer journey, doesn't it? Like right now, if you want to book a flight, you probably close whatever you're doing and open, say, the Expedia app, right? Or you automate something between apps, you go fiddle with Zapier on their website. With ChatGPT aiming to be the hub, the AI becomes the middleman. The sources give real examples happening now, asking ChatGPT to connect to Expedia to book travel without leaving the chat, or telling it to set up a Zapier workflow across different work apps, or using Wolfram Alpha for complex calculations, all inside the chat.
Yeah, and the really disruptive potential here, perhaps the place where the serious money is in the enterprise space. Think about your typical workday. How much time do you spend just switching between apps, copying info from one place, pasting it into another? Imagine you've got a project. It needs info from your CRM. You need to schedule something on the calendar, check the project management tool, maybe look something up on the company wiki. That's 4 different systems, all walled off from each other.
Okay, yeah, I feel that pain. So instead of jumping between those 4 apps, you just type or say one thing in natural language, like, hey, schedule a follow-up with the New York team for next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Make sure you attach the Q3 report from SharePoint and book conference room B.
Exactly that. And the AI handles it all. It talks to Google Workspace, it pokes Microsoft Office, it sends a message on Slack, whatever's needed. It's using your plain English request to orchestrate actions across all these traditionally separate, sometimes even competing software suites. That's the power of that AI glue we talked about. And the source materials mention that the enterprise versions are built for this, right? With much bigger context windows like 32K tokens or even more.
We should probably quickly explain what that context window means.
Yeah.
Because 32K tokens, that sounds pretty abstract if you're not deep in this stuff.
Yeah, good point. It's crucial. So a token is roughly, let's say, 4 characters of text. A 32K token window means the AI can hold a lot of information in its working memory at once. Think maybe 50 or 60 pages of text. That lets it move beyond just summarizing a short email. It can digest like an entire quarterly report, understand the nuances, the connections, and then act on that deep understanding to perform complex tasks.
Okay, that makes sense. So if they nail the reliability at that scale, this kind of centralization could seriously shake up the whole software as a service, the SaaS world. Why would a big company keep paying, dozens of different vendors for tools if one AI interface can manage them all maybe more efficiently? The platform idea isn't just about adding features. It feels like it's trying to rewire how businesses actually operate.
Yeah, centralization drives efficiency. But for a super app to really hit that global, everyday scale, it has to be an economic platform. You can't really be a super app if you're not handling money, right? You need that seamless commerce, the payment integration. Think Alipay or how everyone in China uses WeChat Pay for, well, everything. And that brings us to pathway number 2, embedding commerce and payments. Let's call it the agentic marketplace.
This feels like a massive jump, moving from being just a tool to being a true platform. And according to the sources, this isn't theoretical anymore. It happened pretty recently. We're talking about, what, a quiet rollout just now? September 2025 of instant checkout right inside ChatGPT. That feels like the moment it stops being just a research buddy and starts being a place you actually buy things, frictionless.
It's a huge shift, yeah. It cuts out so many steps we're used to in online shopping. And the tech behind it, the sources are calling it the agentic commerce protocol. And they've got big names on board already. Shopify, Stripe, Etsy are mentioned. That shows they're serious about grabbing a big slice of e-commerce, like, immediately.
Okay, help me picture that. Right now, I search Google, click a link, go to a site, add a cart, go to checkout, type my address, my credit card. How does the AI streamline all that?
Well, it streamlines it by already knowing you, basically. The AI has context, your usual shipping address, your preferences, maybe your payment details stored securely via a partner like Stripe. So it collapses those steps. The classic example is you typing something like, find me 3 cool birthday gifts under $50 for my niece. She likes horses and science. The AI shows you 3 options. You pick one, maybe tap confirm, and bam, purchase complete. Instant checkout. You never left the chat. You didn't fill out any forms.
Whoa, it's using that personalization to just erase the friction. That's always been the dream for online shopping, hasn't it? Now, looking ahead, the source material also hints at something potentially even more out there, Web3 integration.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're thinking about what's next. Imagine linking your crypto wallets like MetaMask or maybe your Coinbase account directly into ChatGPT. That could open up some really complex financial stuff, but make it feel easy through the chat interface. Things like swapping tokens between different cryptocurrencies, buying NFTs, or even setting up these automated micro-subscriptions paying creators by the second, maybe, all managed through conversation.
That Web3 angle, how does that tie back to the agentic super app idea you mentioned? Is tokenizing things really better than just having a plugin store?
Well, the plugin store is still centralized, right? You're dependent on OpenAI's rules, their infrastructure, their approval. The Web3 idea, tokenization, it introduces the potential for actual ownership and maybe a real secondary market for AI capabilities. Let's say your career agent gets really, really good at negotiating salaries using live market data. That specific skill, or maybe the agent itself, could potentially be tokenized, turned into a unique digital asset. And then you could sell that token directly to someone else. It allows for monetizing intelligence and sharing it in a decentralized way outside of just OpenAI's walled garden. It turns a software feature into something more like a tradable asset.
Okay, I can see how that changes things. And that structure must also give OpenAI a ton of ways to make money too, right? It wouldn't just be subscriptions. It could be, what, sponsored product suggestions showing up when you ask for gifts?
Yeah.
Affiliate fees? Maybe even ads in the free version to cover the massive computing costs?
Absolutely, commerce is critical. But it's not the only piece needed for true stickiness. To get people really locked in, you need intimacy. You need the platform to feel indispensable. That brings us to pathway 3. Proactive AI assistance, moving from just being a tool you use to being a genuine, context-aware companion.
Right. The defining thing for a Life Manager app isn't just answering questions, it's anticipating your needs, isn't it? It needs to be so integrated that it doesn't wait for you to ask. It proactively nudges you, guides you. And this is where that new feature comes in, the one launched this year, ChatGPT Pulse.
Exactly. Pulse is designed to deliver those constant, small, proactive nudges that weave the AI into your daily life. We're talking about things like smart goal reminders, maybe personalized prompts to boost your mood if it senses you're down based on your chat tone, or real-time travel updates that pull in traffic data and your calendar.
So by connecting to your calendar, your email, maybe your fitness tracker, even things like weather feeds, ChatGPT stops being just a passive tool you open. It becomes this aware entity that understands your context, a life manager.
And the key effect here is collapse. Consolidation. The sources really emphasize that this kind of smart, anticipatory help starts to make separate niche apps feel redundant. Why have a separate calendar app, a fitness tracker, a journaling app, maybe even some basic mental wellness apps, when one AI relationship can handle the core functions of all of them? The example given is perfect. You get a notification saying, hey, traffic's bad on the I-95 because of an accident. You should probably leave 10 minutes earlier for your meeting, based not just on maps, but knowing your schedule and maybe even learning you hate being late.
Okay, the convenience there is undeniable. But let's just pause on that for a second. That level of intimacy, giving one single system access to your health data, your mood, your schedule, your spending, your communication, that's not just convenience, that's profound dependency, isn't it? What happens if Pulse misunderstands or if its optimization goal clashes with what you actually want or need?
That is absolutely the core vulnerability, the central risk of this whole super app dream, and we definitely need to circle back to it when we discuss risks. But purely from a growth strategy perspective, that dependency is what turns convenience into perceived necessity. It's what could transform ChatGPT from just helpful software into something people feel they can't live without. That intimacy, that dependency, is almost a prerequisite for achieving super app status.
Okay, so we've got utility through plugins and maybe necessity through commerce and these proactive nudges. But successful platforms, especially super apps, need to capture more than just tasks. They need times, attention, creative energy. Which brings us to pathway 4, multimedia and creative tools, the entertainment pivot maybe.
Right. And ChatGPT is really leveraging that multimodal foundation we talked about to do this. It's already become this integrated cross-media platform. We mentioned Daily for images, Whisper for voice, but Sora for video generation, that's potentially the most disruptive piece for capturing creative effort. Having all these powerful tools, image, voice, video generation, sitting right there inside the chat interface. It lets everyday users bypass expensive software, complex tools, steep learning curves.
And the future potential hinted at in the sources sounds pretty wild. Things like collaborative video editing, where multiple people prompt an AI together to make a video, or AI composing unique music for your project, or even generating personalized augmented reality or VR shopping experiences on the fly. It really blurs the line between creating and consuming.
Exactly. And that fusion, that blurring, leads to this really interesting angle. The sources mention the idea that ChatGPT could become both a creative suite and a new kind of social network, but one that aims to generate content, videos, stories, whatever, optimized not for those short, addictive dopamine hits that drive current social media, but for longer-term user satisfaction, maybe a more mindful, curated kind of engagement.
That sounds
Yeah.
idealistic, maybe. A big departure from how social media usually works. But okay, let's pivot now. From the consumer creative side to the big, sometimes slow-moving world of business. Pathway 5 is all about enterprise and B2B expansion, basically positioning the AI as the corporate super app.
Yeah, super apps aren't just for consumers. Businesses are maybe the most fertile ground for this kind of disruption because their existing software costs are often huge, and their data is usually stuck in silos. The sources confirm there's already ChatGPT Enterprise. It's tailored for big organizations, offering better privacy, that large context handling we discuss, and advanced analytics capabilities you can customize.
And the vision here isn't just selling companies a slightly smarter chatbot, is it? It's much bigger. It's pitching ChatGPT as the main operating layer for the entire company. Like imagine one AI interface tying together all those critical, usually separate business functions, HR, CRM, complex data analysis, internal knowledge bases.
Right. The core idea is bypassing massive entrenched costs. The vision suggests a future where companies could drastically cut down, maybe even eliminate, their spending on separate, expensive contracts for things like Salesforce for customer relations, Slack for team chat, Tableau for visualizing data. Instead, the AI handles the coordination, the reporting, the analysis, all through that single conversational layer.
But hang on, those legacy systems, especially something like Salesforce, they're incredibly sticky. They've built entire ecosystems around them over decades. How does a chat interface, even a really smart one, realistically displace that kind of deep corporate integration?
It aims to do it through sheer efficiency that the old systems just can't match. Legacy systems often need manual data input, structured queries, people trained to use them. The AI first model lets an executive just ask, like, show me the churn rate for customers we got in Q2 from Europe, compare that to how well our last email campaign did, and then write up a quick summary for the board. The AI goes and pulls the data, does the analysis, presents it potentially instantly, bypassing maybe 3 departments and 4 different software licenses in the process. That cost saving, combined with the speed, that's the disruptive force they're betting on.
Okay, I see the logic. The potential to really disrupt that multi-trillion-dollar enterprise software market is definitely there. And the spillover to consumers seems almost guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
If people get used to this everything app experience at work where the tasks are arguably more complex, they're going to want that same seamlessness in their personal lives too. It kind of dissolves that old B2B versus BDC boundary.
So as ChatGPT keeps adding more and more capabilities, commerce, video, enterprise tasks, you eventually hit a bottleneck, right? The simple chat box interface itself becomes the limitation. You just can't efficiently manage, say, 10 complex things happening at once purely through back and forth text. This forces a really fundamental evolution in how you interact with it. Which leads us to pathway 6, UI/UX evolution, moving beyond just chat towards something like an open OS.
That sounds like a huge technical jump. The simplicity of the chat is part of its appeal, but yeah, for managing complex ongoing things, you need to see stuff structured.
Exactly. The AI needs to be able to generate interfaces dynamically.
Yeah.
We're talking about a hybrid UI. The conversation is still the main way you interact, the main input, but it's instantly supplemented by generative dashboards. These aren't like the static widgets on your phone today. These are visual layouts that literally morph and change based on what you're doing, what you need in that moment.
Can you give an example? How would that generative dashboard actually work day to day?
Okay, think about your finances. In the morning, maybe you ask, how is my budget looking? The AI doesn't just give you text. It generates a visual dashboard showing spending, maybe investments. Then maybe at lunchtime, you start talking with it about planning dinner with family. The whole screen could shift, generating a shared calendar view and maybe a grocery list interface. Then in the evening, you say, let's work on that video project. Boom. The interface morphs again into controls for Sora, maybe a timeline view. The conversation dictates the visual interface, not a fixed app icon you have to tap.
That dynamic visual layer is fascinating, but the sources suggest the ultimate goal involves hardware, right? Partnerships with phone makers, maybe even OpenAI's own devices, leading to this OpenOS idea.
This is the really radical part. The potential break from how things have worked for the last, 15 years? It means potentially replacing the whole app-centric model of iOS and Android. Instead of juggling 20 different apps, opening and closing them, manually switching context, you just talk to the one AI interface. And it generates the tool, the service, the visual you need right when you need it. The app becomes temporary, generated on demand by the AI.
Okay, but this is where I get skeptical again. Apple and Google, they basically own mobile, the hardware, the app stores, the payment systems. It's like a fortress. How does OpenAI, primarily a software company, realistically break through that dominance to establish a truly global open OS? That seems like a monumental fight.
It's the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? The sources suggest a couple of strategies might be in play. First, maybe deep partnerships. Getting ChatGPT installed as the main default AI layer on existing phones, pushing Siri or Google Assistant to the side. Second, maybe developing their own specialized AI-first hardware, devices designed from the ground up for conversation and multimodal input. Maybe something like the humane AI pin concept, but, actually integrated and functional on a massive scale. They might not be trying to build a better iOS. They might be trying to make the traditional OS less relevant by making the AI the primary way you control everything. And achieving that that kind of deep, pervasive control naturally leads into Pathway 7's social and community features, because right now that's probably the biggest missing piece compared to something like WeChat. WeChat's power wasn't just features, it was the network effect. Built on ingrained social habits, group chats, easy peer-to-peer payments, seeing what friends buy.
Right. So ChatGPT needs to shift from being a tool you use alone to making you feel part of a connected platforms, a platform society, as the sources put it. How might that social layer actually look? The sources speculate, right?
Yeah, it probably won't start by just cloning a Facebook feed. That feels old now. It's more likely to emerge through sharing intelligent things, like shared GPTs, or collaborative agents, or maybe group chats powered by ChatGPT that are way smarter than what we have now.
That sounds more interesting than just chat. Give me an example. What's a collaborative agent?
Okay, imagine you and 4 friends are trying to plan a big, complicated trip, say, backpacking through Europe. Instead of just sending links back and forth in a group chat, one friend could instantly drop their specialized travel planner GPT right into the chat. And this agent, already knowing that friend's budget, travel style, maybe preferred airlines, could immediately start interacting with everyone else's calendar data, maybe their budget constraints, if shared, to start co-planning the trip, maybe even semi-autonomously. The AI itself becomes a shareable, useful social object that creates network effects because the shared thing does something valuable. It's not just static info.
And we're already seeing hints of that in the creative tools, maybe. The sources mentioned Sora having a cameo feature, allowing AI to personalize media. That sounds like it could extend into people collaborating on stories or videos together using AI, building that social connection through shared creation, not just consumption.
Exactly. It points towards a future where maybe we don't just passively consume social media, we actively, collaboratively generate it using AI tools, building that platform society around shared AI utility and creativity.
Okay, that brings us to the last pathway, and maybe the most mind-bending one. Pathway 8, integrating agentic and autonomous capabilities. If all the other pieces we've talked about, commerce, creativity, the OS layer actually come together, this is where the vision gets really radical.
This is where the term super app almost doesn't feel big enough anymore. The ultimate vision here is that ChatGPT evolves beyond being one single assistant you talk to. It becomes a coordinated network of semi-independent, proactive agents, each handling specialized tasks for you, mostly autonomously, all managed under that single ChatGPT interface.
So I basically become the manager of a team of specialized digital employees.
Pretty much, yeah. You'd have your finance agent optimizing investments and maybe doing tax prep, your health agent scheduling doctor's appointments, tracking nutrition, monitoring your wearable data, your career agent scouting for jobs, updating your resume, maybe even applying for roles that fit your profile. And crucially, these agents would coordinate with each other to serve your overall goals. They'd only report back key info or ask for decisions through that main chat interface.
That level of automation is incredible efficiency, but it also brings up huge questions about control. And that Web3 idea, tokenization, feels even more relevant here.
It really does. Because in that kind of agentic world, these highly optimized agents representing specific skills the AI has developed could potentially be tokenized themselves, turned into unique digital assets. Remember the Harvard negotiation agent idea? Maybe you could buy that specialized agent from a third-party developer and plug it into your personal agent network. It creates a potential secondary market for AI skills. People could monetize the unique agents they've trained, or users could buy very specific capabilities not offered natively by OpenAI. Decentralized intelligence, really.
Okay, if this agentic system actually happens, the impact on the current app world seems catastrophic for a lot of companies. It would just collapse entire categories, wouldn't it? You would need a separate budgeting app, scheduling app, health app, job search app. You just have these coordinated agents working for you within the one ChatGPT system. That's the birth of the first true agentic super app. All right, so we've laid out these 8 pathways showing ChatGPT's very distinct AI-centric strategy. Now, let's actually put it head-to-head with the established benchmark, the blueprint, really, WeChat. Because comparing them really highlights why ChatGPT isn't just trying to be a WeChat clone. It's aiming to rewrite the rules entirely.
The differences right from the start are really stark. Let's look at Origin's WeChat. Started way back in 2011. It was a messaging app first. Then it successfully added payments as mini programs, a social feed. Its evolution was driven by social habits, by connection.
Whereas ChatGPT, much newer, 2022, started as pure conversational AI, and it's evolving outward from that core intelligence, adding layers like commerce, creativity, data analysis on top. Its evolution feels driven by utility first.
And that difference in origin dictates how you interact with them. WeChat uses interfaces we know, tabs, feeds, menus you navigate. It guides you down predefined paths. You choose the function you want.
But ChatGPT, it relies almost entirely on natural language, voice, images, those multimodal inputs, and crucially, those proactive suggestions from Pulse. It aims to bypass the need for you to even search or navigate. It tries to anticipate what you need and provide it through conversation.
Now let's talk scale using our 2025 data points. WeChat is enormous, right? 1.3 billion monthly users. That's massive. But its power is heavily concentrated in China and the Chinese diaspora. That limits its claim to being truly global. ChatGPT, starting much later, hitting 521 million users globally and aiming for that billion this year. That shows a potentially much broader international appeal right from the beginning.
And their ecosystems look different too. WeChat has, what, over 4 million of those structured mini programs built like traditional apps. ChatGPT is building its ecosystem differently, using flexible custom GPTs that people can build, the plugin marketplace, and this emerging idea of an agent marketplace. One is based on traditional app development, the other on developing intelligence itself.
And finally, if we compare core strengths, WeChat's power. It's that deep social stickiness, the fact that payments are almost mandatory for daily life in China, its mature integration into society there, ChatGPT's strengths, it's the cutting-edge AI personalization, the potential for deep automation through agents, and those powerful creative tools, Deely, Sora, Whisper, baked right in.
And the risks kind of mirror those origins too, right? WeChat faces challenges around government oversight, maybe less AI innovation internally. ChatGPT's big risks. Things like AI making stuff up, hallucinations, the huge cost of running all this AI, and yeah, the massive privacy questions that come with collecting so much intimate user data. That intimacy point really brings us to the dark side, doesn't it? The unavoidable shadows of a super app. The more powerful, more central, more indispensable ChatGPT becomes, the more risk gets concentrated in one place. This isn't just about business competition. It feels like a potential systemic risk for everyone.
Privacy is absolutely the bullseye issue here. Think about it. If ChatGPT successfully pulls together all 8 pathways, manages your shopping, your creative work, your health via an agent, your career search, all your communication, it holds a single, unified, incredibly detailed record of your entire existence. Your habits, your moods, your finances, your health data, who you talk to, what you dream of.
Yeah, the question stops being just how is my data used and becomes how is this unbelievably comprehensive life record protected and who truly owns it? Having that much context about potentially half the planet's population stored in one company's systems, that level of centralization creates terrifying risks from hackers, from governments, even from misuse inside the company itself.
And then there's the manipulation risk we touched on with Pathway 3, the proactive assistance. We talked about how helpful Pulse could be. But that line between a helpful nudge and subtle manipulation is incredibly fine, maybe invisible. When an AI understands your psychology deeply, your goals, your insecurities, what makes you tick? Who is it really optimizing for?
Right. Is the AI truly working to maximize my long-term health or financial well-being? Or is it being optimized, maybe subtly, to maximize OpenAI's goals, like ad revenue, or keeping me engaged on the platform longer, or pushing products where they get a bigger affiliate cut?
Exactly. This deep dependency creates a fundamental conflict of interest. Could the AI nudge you towards buying a slightly pricier product because the commission is higher? Could it tell you to leave for work 5 minutes early? Not because traffic is bad, but because that creates a perfect slot to serve you a targeted ad before your first meeting. When you scale that kind of subtle influence globally, the potential impact is enormous and unprecedented. And we also have to talk about the cost. Running AI at this level, the complex agents, Pulse constantly monitoring context, Sora generating videos, it takes unbelievable amounts of computing power. It's incredibly expensive. That economic reality likely forces 2 options, neither great for the user. Either the subscription costs have to be really high, creating a digital divide, or, maybe worse, the free or cheaper tiers will have to be heavily subsidized by advertising or data monetization, which just throws fuel on the fire of that manipulation risk, because the incentives shift further away from the user's best interest.
And despite all these challenges, all these risks, the race is definitely on. ChatGPT is not operating in a vacuum here. The competition for this global super app territory is intense.
Oh yeah, Google's Gemini is right there, aiming for the exact same space. And Google has a huge advantage. It's already embedded in everything, Android search, Gmail, Maps. It already has access to the daily data streams of billions of people. That existing footprint is a massive hurdle for OpenAI.
And we're seeing other players too, right? Like DeepSeek coming out of China, positioning itself as maybe a cheaper but still powerful alternative that could appeal to regions wary of U.S. tech dominance.
Definitely. And you can never count out the established giants. Apple and Meta. Apple has the ultimate trump card. They control the hardware, the operating system, and the wallet with Apple Pay. If Apple decides to build its own truly integrated AI layer, maybe emphasizing privacy as its selling point, that would be incredibly hard for OpenAI to compete with on iOS devices. And Meta, they own the world's biggest social networks. That built-in social graph, those network effects, that's the piece ChatGPT is still fundamentally missing right now.
But through all this competition, all these risks,
Yeah.
the core argument, the main thesis of this deep dive, seems pretty clear. ChatGPT isn't just trying to build another WeChat with slightly different features, menus, and tabs.
No, it's aiming for something far more radical, far more disruptive. It's fundamentally trying to dissolve the very concept of apps as we know them. If this AI-first operating model really takes hold, you, the user, stop doing the labor of searching for the right app, the labor of switching between them, the labor of navigating menus. You won't be tapping icons anymore. You'll just converse. And the service you need, the flight booking, the custom video, the health analysis, gets generated dynamically by this underlying agentic system.
So if OpenAI actually pulls this off, if they establish this AI-first operating model as the new standard way we interact with technology,
Yeah.
it's not just another product launch. It feels like it would fundamentally rewire the architecture of the digital world, moving us past this whole era defined by mobile apps and discrete tasks into something continuous, intelligent, maybe even autonomous,
Yeah.
an agentic reality.
The stakes are just immense. We've walked through the 8 pathways from instant checkout and the intimacy of Pulse to this vision of an open OS run by autonomous agents. The technological trajectory seems, well, increasingly plausible for achieving that super app status, maybe even redefining it.
Which brings us back to the final thought for you, the listener, after this deep dive. The question maybe isn't if ChatGPT can become a super app. The technology seems to be rapidly solving those challenges. The real, profound question is, are we as individuals, as societies, as governments, actually ready for a world where the dominant platform is built entirely on AI?
Yeah. What does it truly mean for our autonomy, for how power is distributed, when potentially one single company manages our shopping, our creativity, our schedules, our health, and fundamentally even shapes our cognition? That's the essential question we all need to be wrestling with as this technology barrels forward.
A huge topic. Really expansive and, yeah, a bit scary too. Thank you for breaking down those pathways and helping us understand this shift from chatbot to potential agentic super app.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating time.
Absolutely. We'll catch you next time for the next deep dive.